The feared, the dreaded, the world champion,
The
Scout 608.
the championship scout, and we're going to call it, and as I like to just call it, the Scout Cube. There is no other Scout Cube. This is the Scout Cube. Although it was fun, I helped a friend build a list of 3 Scout Cubes with pretty much nothing but increased attack dice and magnetic charges. So Dinatra, Martok, and it wasn't Gowron. Is there another one that adds 1 attack die to everybody?
Is there an elite talent, maybe? No. No. I don't think everybody.
There's something about it. But we managed 3 Scout Cubes that all were attacking with like 6 die magnetic charges. I probably gave the last one Tactical Station.
That's pretty... Oh, well, that would do it. What were the captain skills?
Dinatra for 6, Martok for 9, and... was there anyone else? Maybe we used Torith or something. No, I think we used actually Ahab Picard. Because he can give you an extra attack dice. For himself, at least.
Well,
and,
he'd give you he'd give you a defense dice.
He'd give you a defense dice and he'd give you the crit. But aside from that...
Which is awesome, because if you roll a battle stations, it's 2 crits.
Oh, yeah. You're like, hit and 2 crits, man. And you can't dodge it. Forget you. But, yeah. So, the Scout Cube, from back in the day of the World Championship that we've had, like 3 months ago now, is it?
Long ago.
Long time ago. But yes. So, for those of you who don't know what it is, got it up on screen right here. Scout 608 with Gen Con Singh, the Independent Federation Fleet Captain. Rebellion, because having a 2-hull ship is less than everything out there, aside from a science vessel.
Yes.
Dispersion.
Speaking from personal experience, Will, you can no doubt say that you don't want a science vessel anywhere near this thing.
Well, you don't even want a science vessel halfway across the board from this thing.
Let alone near.
Yes.
There's not a far enough spot you can get it on the board.
But, yes, so we've got Rebellion for 0 points thanks to the Fleet Captain. We have a 0-point Rebellion. 2-point Dispersion Field, so you can't really mess with the upgrades that much. 5 points, Improved Deflector Screens, the linchpin of any ship of less than 3 health. 3 hull. Because Improved Deflector Screens is awesome. Magnetometric Charges, Tactical Station, and Aft Phaser Emitter. But why do we have an aft phaser emitter? You can't fire that out of a Scout Cube. It doesn't have a rear arc.
Well, it can certainly be discarded, and it costs 0 points and takes up a weapon slot.
Indeed. That is why we have it. So, last but not least, of course, Sakona, to lessen the cost of all of those wonderful little weapons, fit us right in at a nice and lovely 49 points total. Bam.
So I've talked to more than a few people, I guess, who have had trouble with this ship. Just to go over what it does, or what its game plan is, for those of you who haven't played against it,
who haven't had the pleasure and the honor.
Pardon me?
Who haven't had the pleasure and honor and joyous repercussions of playing this wonderful, lovely ship.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I describe it. It's using all of its extra upgrades for extra movement, and then it's got the Fleet Captain, which it's either giving that movement away to another ship, or it's using it itself, so it's actually getting a second extra movement, which pretty much almost brings it back to Borg movement of before the nerf, before it was changed. It almost can end up exactly where any of those Borg ships ended up.
Yeah, this thing can take 2 additional maneuvers thanks to its own ability and the Fleet Captain combined.
That's right. Yeah. or it's giving that away. But often it's gonna take it. So it can pretty much appear where get exactly where it wants to on the board, and it can pretty much decide exactly what range it's going to want to be from all the other ships. And what helps with that is that Khan is the captain, and Borg initiative order is so low that it's almost always the last ship to move on the table.
See,
Because it'll have the highest. It'll be tied for the highest captain skill, and then any ship before it in the initiative order before Borg will move first, attack first. And it doesn't care about the ships attacking first usually because it's often not an arc.
considering this thing can do the equivalent of a 10 forward, or even a little further, if it even banks just a little bit with that fleet captain.
Yeah, it can be anywhere.
Yeah.
Space is an ocean in which no ore is dipped, but the Scout 608 goes where it will.
Also, I like the fact that it can do a 10 forward because now I can make some kind of Guinan joke.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, where's her card? Actually,
She doesn't exist. We don't believe in her.
I was telling my dad about this game, and he was a little surprised there was no Wesley Crusher, but no Guinan is. That's actually relevant.
That is a shame and a disgrace, and I can't think of the real word I want right now, but you know what I'm going for.
It's a travesty, anyway.
It's a travesty.
Okay, so first, I sort of blocked it off into an opening, middle, and end phase of the game. So the opening and the build composition.
Did we actually say that was what this was about? This is about how to deal with this scout cube.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm not sure we actually said that at the start.
Yeah, but this is not to help the scout, only to hurt it. That's what we're talking about today.
Strategy.
So the scout, because it's got so many upgrades, seems like it has extra movement forever, and like you're dealing with something that's going to have up to 2 extra movements a turn for the whole game. One of the things that's the most important to remember right off the bat before you've done anything is it can actually only discard 3 upgrades before it really starts to weaken itself. It can pitch Sakona, it can pitch the aft phaser emitter, and then assuming that you don't have any ganking on your ships, it can pitch the dispersion field. But after that, it's making some hard choices. Rebellion, it's going to want to use as an attack canceller and or as an attack reducer, and it's getting discarded. Tactical stations, sometimes they'll disable it and then use it to pitch, but you've saved yourself a +1 instead of a +2. And the magnetometric guided charge, it absolutely needs.
That's the way it deals damage.
Yeah, it's not that. If the scout cube is pitching that, it's about to win, or you've really got it on the ropes. So how you're going to want to begin, even in how you place your ships, is to try and make the extra player use those extra movements as early as possible, and even before engagement. So a good player isn't gonna. That's not gonna work. They're gonna hold the scout back. They're gonna deploy their other ships. They're gonna be very conscious of moving, of not wasting those discards because they know they only have 3, maybe 4, and maybe as few as 2 if you've got ganking that can take care of that weapon. So they're going to be very conscious of that, but that's the first step. Is you want to try and get them to use those, get them in a bad combat situation so that they maybe retreat or they have a bad position that they have to sort of correct. 3 or 4 discards once combat starts is normally more than enough. You lose a couple of those and all of a sudden it just doesn't have the staying power. And if your ships are still around when it's run out of extra movements, it's a sitting duck. It's only got 6 hit points.
The problem with the ship is, though, that why people have problems with it is often it only needs to use that extra movement once to get into a bad enough position to cripple your fleet.
Well, you do have to play cautiously.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, you're right. If you have a scout vessel or something that can die to one boosted mag charge,
I
then
don't know anything about that. No, no.
then you've got to be disciplined and cut your losses and keep that um, on your side. So if that scout cube wants to fire at that ship, it's going to have to go past all your other ships. It's going to have to go through your cloak mines. It's going to have to use both of its movements to go forward. You know, it's really going to have to make itself vulnerable, and it's going to have to separate from its other ships. Better not to have your scout vessel or whatever your enterprise NX 01, assuming you don't have the what's the hull? Is it hull plating? It's enhanced hull plating, right?
We have a hull plating, yeah.
Yeah. If not to have that ship in the fight, they're just to be a sitting duck and easy points. Okay. What else? So still in build composition. Rebellion is amazing for the scout. How you want to use Rebellion when you're playing with the scout is as a deterrent. So you want to make them come through your cloak mines. You want to make them come to you, and then not get much out of the attack. Why I think it's kind of nice right now and well positioned is if they're using Rebellion, they're likely not using Lure. They might have room for it somewhere else in their fleet, but certainly Peter's World's fleet didn't, and he was transferring captain, so that makes it a little trickier when the shuttle's involved.
Oh yeah,
So
Lure's a big thing, a big difference now from between Worlds and now.
Yes, I think also Lure. So Lure's great because it gives other ships something that is probably a little bit better than Rebellion. If the scout does go to Lure, they're just getting a little bit of an upgrade, if any upgrade. Your ship's getting a huge bump, and it's nice against the scout because you can have the scout for its first move pointing in a direction that you want it to, and that really limits where it can end up and allows you to choose your fleet movements accordingly. So you want Lure and you want it bad. Also in build
so if you're going up against Lure, the strategic option here is to cry. Is that what I got it? Fetal position first, maybe.
Well, Lure's good against the scout. You want Lure in your build, right?
Oh, Lure the scout.
Yeah, the elite talent Lure is great against. It's good against the scout because it's pointing it in the right direction, right? That you want it to be in.
Because Lure is any green maneuver now, right?
Yeah.
So you could actually change which direction it's facing at least. Even though
That's
after
right.
that it can still make 2 additional maneuvers to get out of whatever problems it needs, what it has.
Exactly. But it's a lot more limited. It can kind of go anywhere, whereas Lure's probably cutting it off to maybe half, a quarter of the board or something like that, which seems terrible, but it's a lot better than the whole board.
Indeed. Especially if you can, well, no, you won't ever be able to end up having it pointing at the board edge and then fake messaging it next turn.
Well, if they start, because the turns on the scout are green, right? So if they're close enough,
the rotations
they're
are.
Going to use their extra maneuvers to get away.
Especially the fleet captain with the 1 turn.
Yeah, they're certainly going to do that. It could happen, but boy, it would have to be brutal positioning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Rebellion reduces the attack dice against it if he's using Rebellion. Anything good against that, or just take it and eat it?
What's that, sorry?
Against the Rebellion version of this scout, anything specific for that version to fight against it, or you just got to eat it?
Well, it's almost impossible to stop them from getting the Rebellion off.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways that it can maybe not matter as much, which I talk about a little later. But one of your attacks with the rebellion is probably going to be at -2 dice. The thing that I guess is important to remember, what the scout wants to do is use that to lower your attack and then hammer you back with a boosted mag charge, and then they're way ahead on the race,
Mhm.
and
Which isn't too terrible because you're probably going to get hit by that mag charge anyway. And then
that's
after
right.
their second attack that they can make that turn is going to be their basic 3 dice attack.
That's right,
If
exactly.
you're in range.
Which is not terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, the attack back from the rebellion is going to be their basic attack. Then they're gonna they hammer back with their main attack with the mag charges. But that's right, they're only using the mag charges once.
Mm-hmm. So Rebellion is
And
more for the defensive side, probably.
yes, yeah. So I guess the thing to remember about it the most is you have to take it into consideration with your math and figuring out what's going to happen. But when you're playing the scout, you want people to be afraid of it. You want people to hesitate to attack, because once the scout starts getting attacked, it's only a matter of time. It's so fragile, even with all its tricks, that it will die. And if it can get a bit of damage in before you're really attacking it, great. Then it can race all of a sudden to destroy other ships. And I have so ganking is potentially great, but I don't think you'll ever see a build without dispersion field. It's 2 points. It occupies the Borg slot. It's great for discarding if they don't have any.
And there's currently no
Ganking.
card in the game that can both disable that and kill something else at the same time.
That's right. Yeah, and I've got those a little down here, but. What I mentioned here is if you're using second of 5, and I'm pretty sure this is correct, Will, but correct me if I'm wrong. If you're using second of 5 with Goval or something as backup, you want to target the dispersion field directly, because if you discard it, then they don't get the points. Whereas if they use the dispersion field ability to protect another upgrade, those points aren't yours, right?
Correct.
So if you've got second of 5 with Goval or Leonalis backup, target the dispersion field directly, because then that's 2 points for you, and if all else fails, which I'll also talk about, that can be important, because it leads me into my last point about the opening. The scout almost always, in fact, it does always want to play defensively. It wants to draw you toward it through the cloaked mines. It wants to give ground and stay at range 3, or have the cloaked mine between your ship and its ship to give it an extra defense dice, and the defense dice at range 3. It's desperate to play defensively. It always wants you to come to it. So even knocking off a dispersion field for 2 points can change the balance, and and now they have to attack, and it's just not as good attacking as it is when your ships are attacking it. And then it can fall back to cover or range 3 or behind the cloak mines or whatever.
Use the time limit to your advantage.
Yeah, that's right. Because the scout player is certainly going to the good players. That's exactly what they're going to be. That's exactly what they're going to be doing. The scout is, as I mentioned, so fragile, but so powerful. The engagement needs to be on its terms for it to be that powerful. So once you disrupt that, you're in really good shape. Do you have anything more for the beginning of a game, Will?
Is that all just the beginning of the game?
So
that was kind of
middle
all over the
game,
place. But for ship placement, not really.
I don't think it matters. Like I said, if you can get them to use that movement early, great, but it's going to be hard to do against a good player, because they know just how precious those discards are.
Let's see. Other than that, keep 360-degree arcs up front, especially if you have a weaker ship in the back. Because
Yep.
you were kind of talking about that when we were talking about my poor science vessel.
Yes. If it can get your weaker ship to range 3 and be out of your other range of your other ships, and even if base that it needs to occupy to do that, the scout can get there pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
And then your ship is going to die. They'll probably discard the tactical station to get the extra dice. And in Peter's case, he had the Queen vessel, so he was spending a scan token to get another +1. So you're looking
Six
at
dice, no
six
defense.
dice with a battle stations conversion. So anything with 3 hull and or 3 hit points is
Pretty
really
dead.
likely to die.
Yeah. The other thing you were talking about was, they were like to play defensively, play conservatively. So if you gank something of theirs, it makes them have to take the initiative. You don't have to just gank the dispersion field. There is an allied ship, so if you can gank something from that, it'll often be more effective because you're not in that
Yep.
danger range of the scout that can get away at a moment's notice.
Yeah, that's the one thing to remember with second of 5 and Goval backup. You hit the dispersion field, you're probably taking a 5 attack dice mag charge, and then an attack a mag charge the second round, unless
Mm-hmm.
that's what you're discarding. And then you might, if you get hit with the Queen vessel, there are plenty of ships that can't stand up to that. So your ganking ships need to be pretty tough or have even one little bit of attack cancellation can make a big difference in that case.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Okay, middle game. Uh,
I feel like we talked about some of the middle game already, but
yeah, a little bit. That's certainly true. There will be cloak mines in the build. If
yep.
there's not, that's great. That's a huge first. That's a huge first step. Peter played 2 cloak mines, and it made a huge difference. What I this part of the world's final, I did work out. If you can get the scout to deploy the cloak mines and then come about and re-engage, uh, that's a good idea if you are not playing Borg ships yourself. Um, Going through the cloak mines is going to have to make you commit to going forward, and then the scout's going to be able to get behind you.
And then you have to
So
turn
you want
around
to,
and go through the mines again.
yeah, and you're going through the mine. So you want to be able to get a round of shooting or 2 before you inevitably have to head into the mine, which normally means you have to turn around and do that. So take the time to do that if you can. Rushing in is also what the scout wants you to do. Don't necessarily target the scout first, but if you only have 1 ship left and it's not a Borg ship or a 360 firing ship or a 360 firing ship to range 3, even with just the fleet captain left, it's probably going to be able to get out of the arc every single time, no matter what you do. Certainly it will if it's moving second. So you don't have to target it first. I mean, if a target of opportunity comes up, then take it. But it can certainly become more powerful as attrition takes its toll on the board. Tactical Station and Mag Charge, which are both super important cards. They're the 2 most important cards probably for the build, other than maybe Khan. They can't both be re-enabled in the same turn. So again, don't rush in to engagements, but once you have started your engagement, uh, if it's all the same, keep pressing. The scout's very happy to do a round of attacking, retreat back into cloak mines or behind a planet, and then spend some turns getting everything back online, where it's a lot more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're planning your attacks, try and set it up for 2 or 3 rounds of attacks rather than playing the cat and mouse game. It's dangerous. It's dangerous to let it get everything back up and running.
Press the attack.
Exactly. Press the attack. And that's what I have for the middle game. Do you have anything, Will, from your hard battles? From
Hmm.
you're on the trenches. You're on the front line, man. You've been
I,
on the front line with me.
I guess so. A few months ago. Um. Aside from that, though, just I don't know what to do against a scout that's using lure. One of your ships is
Yeah.
going to be facing the wrong way.
Yes.
Unless you're playing nothing but spheres, which can only be lured in the forward direction.
Yes. Lure's amazing on the scout, and he's definitely going to use. He's definitely going to try and use that to try and separate your ships, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you're right, but I'm not. Is it more devastating on a scout than a normal ship? I mean, it's just a devastating technique anyway, right?
Oh yeah, but as opposed to like we were talking about the build using rebellion, but the build using lure is more dangerous, and the things you can do against it are extremely limited, if not.
It, yeah. It
So my strategy
it
against that is right now currently written as fetal position and cry. That's what I got.
Well, the thing is that without rebellion, it's you know it one ship. One ship in range one with target lock and battle stations has a shot to kill it, right? Like that makes a fragile ship a lot more fragile without that rebellion to blunt the first attack.
The question is, does it? Because for that, you would need to be able to have them in arc. You would need to be able to do 7 damage because 6 to kill it and 1 more to get past the to get absorbed by the deflector screens.
So range one for sure.
Mm-hmm. And the ships that can do the 7+ attack dice are generally those ones that have firing arc issues, like flanking attack fighters and or
Scimitar bioships.
yeah.
The Borg ships are going to do fairly well against it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But then again, those are more building issues as opposed to actually anything you can do in the game for it.
that's right. Yeah.
So like what you really need is something that moves after the scout cube, which is going to be Khan on a less than Borg ship. So mirror universe, species, or I'm not even going to say Vulcan, Bajoran, Ferengi. No, don't.
So Richard Bliss had the Regent's flagship with Worf on it, firing the Klingon ship. That is a good mirror universe candidate. And then he also had the Federation independent fleet captain, so he would repoint the Klingon ship wherever it needed to go, and then fire it off. Bioships will move after. And is there anything else in Mirror that's really? I mean, I guess there's the percussion stuff. They've got wide arcs, but
ISS Enterprise. It's cheap.
the ISS what?
The ISS Enterprise. It's relatively cheap and kind of sturdy.
I actually like that ship a lot.
And you could use Tantalus Field.
Yes.
A little more reliable than Madrid if you can get it.
Yeah, and it's a lot nicer. The other thing is killing Khan makes the scout have to move first, and its extra actions are still good, but are a lot less valuable, strikingly valuable.
I know, right? If only Madrid could kill Khan, everything would be fine.
Well, one's tougher than the other. That's what the dice told me.
Khan, how many lights? There are 4 lights. But that's where we're going into building and stuff again. What else did we have? We had beginning, middle. So we got the builds that we can do. And during the game, chase it down, gank from the scouts' allies, or just fire at the allies if possible. Get a point advantage. Use time to your advantage.
That's right.
Press the attacks.
late game and silver bullets, the first thing I have is the 608 player is counting points, so make sure that you definitely do too. Its hull of 2 means that probably at worst there's either one shuttle or one fighter squadron. So if they're using the shuttle like Peter did, attack cancellation is not going to be bad because there's only going to be 2 attacks.
They're using
coming.
the fighters, then you're like, oh crap, there's 3 ships that can kill me.
Yeah, and if they're using fighters, then there are some points. Fighters aren't the easiest points to grab, but they're a lot easier to grab than trying to kill the scout, especially when it's playing defensively. Open space I have as an important overall thing. I don't know why I put that in the late game, but anyway, it's important. You're not always going to have an open map, but if you get it away from the planet or anything, that's the time. That's definitely the time to attack. And then some of the silver bullets.
Planet's bad.
Weapons in general that go through shields are nice. That leaves it with only 2 hull points. So even if you get a crit through, I mean, there's even a chance you can blow it up then.
Chronotons for the win.
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna do.
There's that. There's a Borg one. Actually, putting that Borg weapon on a scout yourself is a good hedge for the mirror match, I guess.
It's tough though, because that's only range 1.
It's only range 1?
Yeah, the proton beam? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but if you got on the Scout 608, who cares?
If your 608 is going after their 608.
You move first and attack first. So their 608 is going to have way limited options because they're always going to have to move out of range 1, right? That's going to be the first order of business.
Assuming you can get enough attack dice to make it important, because the proton beam is 3 attack dice minus a hit for the deflector screens versus their 3 or 4 defense dice.
Yeah, but if you're running tactical station, then you've got it right there, right?
I'd rather go for chronotons.
So the
because not enough people use chronotons.
Cloaked mines are great against it. Deflector screens don't work against cloaked mines, right?
Oh no, they do. Deflector screens work against everything. That's why they are so awesome and incredible.
I was pretty sure they did. Oh, maybe that's just what it got ruled in Worlds.
Because it's against any attacks, but mines are technically attacking. So
I think mines are attacking. I think it happens in the compare results step though, right? And there is no compare results step from a mine attack.
No, but they ruled that you go through all the steps no matter what kind of attack it is. So the mines are no longer a special attack. The only thing they do is say you don't get to roll defense dice.
So cloaked mines, they don't want to go through those a lot. You're likely to do 1 or 2 damage with your rebellion attack. They go through cloaked mines. Now their shields are going. Once their shields are gone and those deflector screens aren't firing, that's tough. Croesus is excellent because you don't have to go for the second round. You try and grab something and knock off the dispersion field, and then you grab something else. That's giving you points, and awesomely, it's getting rid of 2 of his upgrades, or 2 of the scouts' upgrades, so that's really limiting his ability to discard and move. Even if you're just grabbing Sakona, that's big, right? She's not going to do anything for you.
That's 3 points.
Now he's going to have to discard that mag charge or whatever else way earlier. Are you still there, Will?
I'm still here. Is there a problem? Oh, what happened to you? Come back. Come back. Why are you gone? I'm not offline.
Are you there? I'm back. Are you back?
I'm back. What happened?
I don't know.
Looks like my connection just went out for a second.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
I broke everything. I heard you keep going for the whole time, so.
Oh, okay. Um,
It's raining over here, so my connection has been a little spotty tonight. But
so Croesus is good even if he's just taking Sakona.
mhm.
Extra maneuvering at a late initiative order is excellent. We discussed that with the bioships or the mirror universe. I haven't tried this, but I'm curious to try assimilation tubules, just because they're a repeatable ganking effect.
I love
So if you can
assimilation
get,
tubules.
pardon me,
I love assimilation tubules.
that's right. If you can get 2 or even 3 upgrades off that scout, that's pretty huge, right? Even if you're moving into range 2, getting it, and it's moving out to range 3 to really negate your attacks, it's nice because you're really limiting their options. Attack negation in the build that uses the shuttle, which I actually think is outside of attack negation a way better build than with fighters. If you can figure out how to cancel 2 attacks a turn, you've pretty much got them.
Negation.
The mag charge itself is great against the scout because those 3 defense dice don't matter, and 2 to 3 attacks with mag charges either unmodified is probably gonna be enough to undo that thing, or especially get the shields down. So now it's even more vulnerable. And then Will and I were talking about this before the show. I always forget the name of it. The Klingon freeze ray. What's it called?
Projected stasis field, but I like Klingon
Projected
freeze ray better.
projected stasis field is excellent. It brings the shields down, so you only have to put over 2 damage, 3 if they use an evade token, and it puts the deflector screens offline for a turn, and it also stops you from getting hammered with the mag charge during their attack. And it happens in the activation phase, obviously. Does it say, let me just look up, projected stasis field.
It's a cool little ship. The thing is, if the
And cannot attack this round, so it probably can't attack back with Rebellion either, right?
correct.
So you can essentially be canceling 2 attacks because it's gonna want to use that Rebellion attack for sure.
Yeah, because if it's going for the defensive, it can use it for the defensive bonus, but then it wouldn't get to attack back. That would be a good way to make him blow it.
Exactly. And he's gonna want to use it if you've got his shields down, because two piddly hits is terrifying, especially if you're throwing 6 dice.
Projected stasis field. Just hope that his allies aren't going to come around behind and blow up your ship while it has no shields.
And you know what? If you can trade one of your ships for the scout in that build, I think you take it every time, because it's the workhorse of the build. You know, in using Peter's build, I mean, obviously there's going to be variations on that, but it certainly was the workhorse, and you could stay at range 3 from that Queen vessel a lot easier, even with the Romulan pilot.
You could use a. You could take the shuttle to boost up one of your ships and then send it back out again with just the projected stasis field on it.
That's right. Risky, but man,
Suicide. That's a suicide shuttle for you.
That's right. Well, to put it this way, if I could have sacrificed my Khan bioship in the final to kill Peter's scout and just left Jean-Luc on a bioship against that
The Queen vessel.
I would have done it. And my fighters, I would have done that. And every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
The other good thing that you can try to do is if you try to get the highest captain skill so that Khan is copying you, then you're still moving after him if you're on the right type of ship. So Picard plus a fleet captain plus an admiral, very expensive, but should be able to move after him if he's on, again, one of those bioships or the mirror universe.
Yeah, that's right. And what else is after? It's
Bajoran, Kazon, Ferengi, Vulcan.
Yeah.
Independent, so, maybe. That would give you, what, the Sung? Because that's the only one that has decent attack, but other than that, there's not actually a lot of heavy-hitting independents.
Well, what's we can mention it now because Tucker's not here. I can't remember its name. The Alpha Hunter. The, the Alpha Hunter. There you go.
We're gonna use the Alpha Hunter on your Scout Cube. I am hunting the Borg. That'd be fun.
So that's that's fighting the Scout. I guess the one point to sort of reiterate is you have to be somewhat bold because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the dice are just going to come off. If you rush in and he rolls 3 evades and you roll poorly, I mean you're going to really be in a bad spot. But that's how it goes. The odds are against that happening. But the odd time it does, you're in bad shape. There's no perfect way to sort of beat the Scout clean. It's just got too many advantages.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes
so
to
basically, a lot of this actually comes in the building phase. You have to be able to either chase it down with more and or later movement, gank stuff from it or the other ship so that it makes it chase you, or projected stasis field. Get in there, cripple it. You can't, with the dispersion field, it's hard to get through to the upgrades because it's not going to be generally point effective, but if you can at least just project a stasis field and hopefully, cross your fingers, have a ship that can kill it that turn, you're in good shape.
Yeah, that's right. And it doesn't have to. I mean, any ship with 6 dice attack should finish it off, right?
Mm-hmm. But generally, it's not going to be the one that uses the stasis field because you're going to get less dice from the stasis field.
Yeah, so you want to put the stasis field on.
And from that point, it requires you getting 2 ships in range of it.
Yeah.
Or at least still ending in range of it after it moves, because it can still get its full movement abilities while it is projected stasis fielded.
So if you're using projected stasis field, you're definitely going to want to pair it with something like Picard on a bioship or something like that, right? So you're getting that extra movement to point it with the ship that you want to fire with.
Mm-hmm. Or at least make sure he's pretty well pinned into a corner, and you can still hit him if he 10 forwards past you somehow.
That's right. That's right.
Be like, I'm running away.
So I would, if I was modifying my bioship build, which I would have loved to do anyway against Peter's build, but I was worried about two ships, two fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Is I'd put the Sakharov instead of the fighter. I'd put a projected stasis field and a second set of cloak mines on it. Load it up onto Khan. Khan is going to try and hit the ship, and then Picard is either going to take the Khan movement or the Admiral Force movement and
shuttle docked on a bioship.
What's that?
Shuttle docked on a bioship. Now that's a thing that you don't think of every day.
Yeah, hard to figure out the physics of it all, but and then blast them.
Blast them hard, blast them fast.
So I mean, the Scout's definitely the ship to beat, I would say, but there are things you can do. You're right. A lot of it's in the building phase. About the only solid thing that you're going to want to do every game you play against it is keep track of the points. Don't think of the game as necessarily wiping his fleet out. Think of it as getting ahead in points and making him play. There's that old Kung Fu episode where the villain made the Shaolin, where he made Kwai Chang Caine attack him, and he was half as effective because Shaolin monks are trained to defense. They don't know how to attack.
Indeed.
You didn't watch Kung Fu: The Legend Continues?
You know how old that was?
I forget how young you are.
That doesn't mean I didn't watch it. But the question is if I remember it from that long ago. I was like 6 when that thing was on the air, man.
Well, its lessons are as true today, apparently.
I should go see if that's on Netflix now. Yes, this has been your strategy session for fighting the Scout Cube. That was a wonderful little thing.
Hopefully that gives us some ammo.
Indeed.